Military history. This ex-slave pretended to be a man and served in the Army. By K. Grant, February 8, 2018. The Union Army had pressed Cathay Williams, a slave, into service as a young girl to cook and launder clothes for the 13th Corps. She grew accustomed to military life. Missions have made her later deception easier. Army. During a tour of duty with Company 4A of the 38th Infantry, one of the all-black Army regiments established after the Civil War, one private, different from all the rest, marched with the unit more than 500 miles from Fort Hucker, Kansas to Fort Union, New Mexico territory. And some months later, some 400 more miles to Forts Cumming and Bayard, New Mexico territory. The U.S. Army, though tough duty, was an attractive destination for newly freed slaves who had few post-war employment opportunities. In the Army, they can get a paycheck, regular meals, a bed, and medical care. Physical exams were cursory. Recruits could march and shoot, often were simply declared fit for duty. Before her voluntary enlistment, her status as contraband, a captured slave, meant she was pressed into serving. At 17, her role as an Army cook and washerwoman meant she accompanied the infantry all over the country. During these travels under the service of General Philip Sheridan, Williams witnessed the Red River Campaign and the Battle of Pea Ridge. Post-war job opportunities for newly freed slaves and for African Americans in general, as stated earlier, were non-existent. Inequality and lack of access bore down on African Americans to a smothering degree, particularly in the southern states. Many had no choice but to turn to military service to afford themselves not only employment and stability, but newfound access to health care, education, and post-war benefits by way of a pension. It is no mystery why Williams joined the Army. To the lure of independence for a young female, unmarried, former slave held an undeniable attraction. Williams said, "I wanted to make my own living and not be dependent on relations or friends. The regiment I joined wore the Zouawe uniform, and only two persons, a cousin and a particular friend, members of the regiment, knew that I was a woman. They never blowed on me. They were partly the cause of my joining the Army. Another reason was I wanted to make my own living and not be dependent on relations or friends." Her enlistment started in November of 1866 in St. Louis, Missouri. A cursory examination by an Army surgeon should have outed Williams as a woman. But since the Army didn't require full medical exams at the time, Williams successfully continued her masquerade as a man. She performed regular garrison duties, but it wasn't combat that cut Williams' military career short. Health struggles plagued her. Smallpox was the most debilitating, but back-to-back hospitalizations dealt the most devastating iconic blow of all. In October 1868, the purse surgeon found out I was a woman and I got my discharge. The men all wanted to get rid of me after they found that I was a woman. Some of them acted real bad to me, Williams said. She will. Her disability discharge meant end of her tenure in the Army, but not the end of the adventure of being William Cathay. Dressed as a man, Williams signed up with an emerging all-black regiment, the 38th U.S. Infantry, which would eventually become part of the legendary Buffalo Soldiers. These units dotted the landscape of the American West and showed tremendous skill and valor in a range of duties. They fought in skirmishes with Native Americans, escorted vulnerable wagon trains, built forts, mapped the territory, and protected white settlers, all with subpar equipment. For a while in her post-military career, Williams was adrift. She headed to Fort Union in New Mexico territory with her original name to work as a cook. A brief marriage ended with her husband's arrest, who had stolen money and horses from her. She also took on jobs as seamstress, laundress, under the name Kate Williams in Pueblo, Colorado, where her mother ran an orphanage, and in Trinidad, Colorado. In trying to make a life for herself, Williams could not have known her story had traveled. It landed with a St. Louis reporter whose ears were on fire with rumors of the first black woman to serve in the Army. In the January 2nd, 1876 edition of the St. Louis Daily Times, Williams officially became a headline when her story was published. Poor health overwhelmed Williams after serving in the military, 2 amputations from diabetes, neuralgia, deafness, and rheumatism forced her to apply for a military disability pension. A doctor concluded she didn't qualify, not because William Cathay was undeserving, but because William had posed as a man. Accounts say she died in 1883, shortly after being denied disability compensation.